see you guys in the dark.
We usually started the day by finding kindling, so that we could add to the wood that my uncle would chop for the night's fire. Shortly after arriving, and picking up as many sticks as our little arms could carry, my cousin said something, which I immediately responded to. She said she felt like someone was watching her. The hairs on the back of my neck were already standing up before this, but after she said it, I got a little scared. We went to meet with my brothers to investigate. We looked around the camp, searching for signs of other people, houses, animals. Nothing was found. We were in the middle of nowhere, 3+ miles from any kind of road or life. The day moved on, but something didn't seem right. I remember feeling like I should have looked over my shoulder constantly. I was getting a bad vibe. Something I knew wasn't right. Sure, my cousin had said something earlier that didn't help. But why was a sixth sense seemingly telling me something? I didn't know what it was. After setting up camp, we all decided to go for a walk down this very close trail. After walking about 10 minutes or so, we came to this clearing. The trail stopped and opened into a large field with a single red barn on top of a hill. This was very odd, as there were no houses, let alone roads for a few miles in any kind of direction. The strange feeling returned, and this time, it came to all of us. After some deliberation of whether we should check it out, we decided to head back to camp. For the rest of the day, we hung out by the fire and just talked. As the night approached and the sun finally had set, we stuck close to the campfire and started to forget about it. Forget about the notion that something strange was going on. Then it happened. My uncle was particularly sitting on the hood of his car when he felt it move. He said the front felt like it was dropping. I remember him thinking that it was his brother trying to sneak up on us. Our other uncle was the only one who knew about this particular camping spot. It happened once again. This time we could easily see the car dip, and it could have taken 3 or 4 men to make it drop that far. The hood was hitting the dirt. My uncle had slid off. Not knowing what to do, we heard thuds of something running behind the car. We were frozen with fear, and there was nothing that we could do. The only weapon that we had was an axe, which was laid next to a tree somewhere back there. Suddenly, the most frightening moment of my life was before me. I grabbed my flashlight, pointed it over in that direction. All I saw was 4 beady eyes, all standing about 5'5" to 6'1", staring directly at us. I screamed for my cousin and my uncle to just run. We all hightailed it further into the woods, hoping that those people would not be following us. We all jumped into a bush and laid there in wait. After what seemed like forever, my uncle decided that he was going to get up and look around to make sure that nobody was around. While we were waiting for my uncle to show back up, my cousin stares at me with the most terrifying look that I had ever seen. My heart at this time felt like it was going to jump out of my chest. We hear a bunch of footsteps walking past us. We hold our breath, hoping that nobody looks inside of that bush. After what seemed like forever, our uncle pops his head into the bush, tells us that we need to hurry up and run back to the car and leave now. We all run as fast as we can to get back into the vehicle. We leave everything behind. My uncle starts up the car and immediately drives off as fast as humanly possible. To this day, he never told us exactly what he saw, if he saw anything at all. I work in the outdoor field and lead trips regularly. I once led a trip to the top of Mount Stringer in North Carolina. It's a tough climb to get to the top, and about 6 miles from the nearest road. I was leading a group of 8 middle school kids, and had 1 co-instructor. We were camping out on top of the mountain, and it was a beautiful night with a full moon. The kids and the other co-instructor went to bed in their tents. I chose to spend the night in a hammock that night. I was really into a book that I was reading, so I stayed up and read till about 10:30 p.m. I turned my headlamp off to settle in for the night. Everything around me was rather bright from the moon, and from the position that I was in, I could see down the trail that we had hiked to get to the top. I laid there, enjoying the scenery, and noticed something moving on the trail. Bears are very common in the area, so I perked up. As it got closer, I could tell that it was a person. We were in the middle of nowhere, and there was someone hiking up the trail with no headlamp or any kind of gear. I was frozen, watching this person move closer to our camp. The person arrived at the top of the mountain where we were, and then just stopped. I watched as what appeared to be a man surveyed our camp. I really could only see the outline of him. He stood there for what seemed like 30 minutes, but may have only been about 10. He then turned and sat down under a tree facing our camp. He was sitting up in a way that I knew that he wasn't trying to sleep. He just sat there, staring at our camp. I had no idea what to do. I decided to wait it out. I waited, just staring at the man while he stared at my camp. This went on until about 3:30 in the morning. Then he stood up, took a moment to survey my camp a few minutes longer, and then went back down the trail that he came up on. I, to this day, have no idea what that was all about, but it freaked me out. I was paranoid that we were being followed for the rest of our trip. I was in my tent, and it was the middle of the night, perhaps around 1 a.m. I had woken up to go pee, just like normal. I was about to unzip my tent when I heard a small scratching sound. I paused. It was a slow, deliberate, crunchy, digging sound. It was too rhythmic for an animal, so after making sure that it wasn't my dad, who was sharing the tent, I unzipped a corner of the door and peeked out. The moon was just bright enough for me to see a young woman squatting right next to our little two-man tent, digging at the ground with her bare hands. My dad went, shined a flashlight on her, and told her to go back to wherever she had made camp. The woman got up silently, leaving a 4-inch deep hole next to the tent, and started walking away. I went outside, went to go pee, and went back into the sleeping bag. A few minutes later, I was awoken again by a clattering sound of a woman or an animal walking around where we had put our stuff. I looked outside again, and the woman was crunching low, walking around our stuff, looking at things the way a monkey might. My father stepped out of the tent, shined the flashlight on her once again. She faced him. He asked her to kindly leave their stuff alone, but she just stood there, dirty and neglected looking, but clearly not malnourished, staring at his light. He gave up and went back into our tent. Soon we heard her digging once again a little hole, which was literally 6 inches and 2 pieces of a thin nylon away from my head. I shouted for her to go away, and she ran away in an animalistic kind of way and never returned. I fell back asleep, and in the morning our stuff was scattered, but nothing was stolen. When I was younger, probably like 10 or 11, I went camping with my family. I'll just get right into it. It was about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and I couldn't really sleep at this time. The tent me and my brother were in was really hot and very uncomfortable. Anyways, while I was trying to go to bed, I heard a very faint whimper. I tried to ignore it, because I figured that I was just tired. Our campsite was along a road with many other camps nearby it. The whimper started to get much louder, and then turned into crying. I heard footsteps right outside of our tent, and then suddenly I heard a girl crying. Now let me tell you, it didn't go faint. It got louder and louder. It remained in the same spot the entire time. That's so important, because it indicates that she was looking at our campsite, crying. It just gets worse. Then it turned into a full scream for a few seconds, and then it cuts out. When she started screaming, my brother suddenly woke up. We both looked at each other, and just get all of the pillows and stuff, our head right underneath them. I couldn't sleep at all that night. I'm just glad that we left the very next morning. A couple of years ago, my brother bought a large piece of land out in the middle of nowhere, about 30 miles or so from cell phone reception. It's quiet. There's no light pollution, no paved roads, and not a lot of people around. Shortly after he bought the place, two of my brothers, the landowner and another one, me, and our families, spent a weekend camping on the land and doing our best to clean it up. People had used it as a dump. There were many downed trees. On the second night that we camped there, I woke up in the middle of the night to go take a leak. As I was walking to the bushes in the dark, I realized that I could faintly hear music. This didn't strike me as odd because I knew my brother had a radio in his camper. I finished up and went back to sleep with no further thought on the matter. The next morning at breakfast, I mentioned the radio and the music. Several other people recalled walking in the night and hearing music, but no two people heard the same music. Finally, the brother who brought the radio had woken up. I asked him about the music. He seemed a bit freaked out. He woke up sometime during the night, went outside to go smoke a cigarette. He heard music as well, and had assumed that it was someone else. I should mention that he was the only one with a generator and a radio. It wasn't his radio that we heard. It wasn't anyone else's either. I've been back several times, but I'm a bit freaked out by that place at night. I have fun while I'm there, but I'm always armed, and I don't sleep in a tent anymore. I sleep in my SUV with the doors locked. It may seem kind of dumb, but realizing that everyone heard different music when there are no people, no functioning radios, and no electricity is very creepy. This happened to an acquaintance of mine and his son. This took place back in the early 90s. He had taken his young son for a father and son type of hike out of Skagway. If any of you are familiar with it, there is quite a network of trails above town at lower Dewey Lakes. So it's evening time, dinner is done, the tent's up, it's bedtime. Sometime later, around midnight, he's woken up by the tent shaking violently, and then silence. Then again. Keep in mind it's late August and pitch black. I mean, as pitch black as you can get under the heavy coastal rainforest with no moon. This shaking kept up for over an hour. He had no idea what it was. He went out with his headlamp, yelled, and heard nothing. Would go back into the tent, and then it would start up once again. He could hear footsteps wherever it happened. He was pretty shaken up by the next morning, as you can imagine. He reported it to the troopers. And the only thing that they could come up with was someone with a night vision set up messing around, or maybe something else. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, and hit the bell for notifications on future videos, and become a stalker of the night. And I'll see you next time.